Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. The 22nd Commonwealth Games, being held in Birmingham, England, is where we begin today. After one day of competition, Australia are the early leaders atop the medal standings. They have 16 medals, 8 gold, 4 silver and 4 bronze. Their neighbours, New Zealand, are second with 7 medals, 3 gold, 3 silver and 1 bronze. Host England are third in the table, also with 9 medals, but of lesser quality, 2 gold, 5 silver and 2 bronze. You have seen Bermuda 6th on the list with 1 gold medal. This came courtesy of Dame Flora Duffy, who successfully defended her triathlon title earlier today. So Leighton, I think it's fitting that we start by talking about this lady who has proven, she can defend her title. I have to say it wasn't unexpected at all. We expected her to do so. What did you make of her performance?
It was what we expected. I mean, you've seen over the past few years where she's dominated not just the global championships, but the triathlon championships as well, because people forget that in addition to the Olympics last year, she won the Triathlon World Championships. And so this is pretty much the norm for her now. She's at a level where she's been very consistent for the past few years. I think she's won 6 triathlon championships in the last 6 years. So this is just her capping off what has for her been a very, very, very productive series of a few years where that level of performance has come from her on a consistent basis that makes her clearly one of the best in the world. She's Olympic champion. I know she's the Commonwealth champion.
Yeah, you speak about her consistency and of course, how this is expected of her, but nobody expected her to get COVID, and not 1 time, 2 times. Yet, and you yourself can speak on this, when you've gotten COVID, your body no longer responds the same way. Yet this woman looks like she's in her prime.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, when I got COVID, I'm still recovering. I'm not still at the strength levels where I was before. So for her to be able to do this, and the key thing is that COVID affects everybody so differently. So maybe her body was able to respond more, favorably to recovery than people like myself. But she's in incredible shape, and the fact that she was able to come to the Commonwealth Games and do what she has done on the first day of the competition just tells you, the kind of not only physical steel that she possesses, but also the mental steel as well, because you're the uncertainty of what you're able to do physically because of what COVID has done to your body, and she's had it twice. It just tells you that she's supremely confident in her abilities, regardless of the setbacks that she might have had. And that just tells you, the overall athlete that she is, because the triathlon in itself is not a very easy event to do. So for her to be able to still maintain that level of proficiency, despite 2 bouts of COVID, I mean, if my experience is anything to go by, it's not something that you want to experience twice, let alone once, let alone twice. So, it just speaks to her quality as an athlete overall. Yeah,
and what I think is very special about her is going into this competition, the Commonwealth Games, she was asked about, if she defended her title, if there would be celebrations, and she was quick to say no, because her teammate, Tyler, will be participating in their last event, and she wants to ensure, Leighton, that Tyler ends with a bang. So her exact words were, it's Tyler's final race, I've got him into good shape and he's excited. If I win on Friday, there will be no big celebrations. I have to recover for the relay leg because I want to give it all for the team. So again, it speaks to the caliber of Flora Duffy. She's turning her attention now to the mixed relay. Can she do the double?
Well, that's a big question, because the double also involves other people. Yes. If it was down to her alone, of course, I'd be willing to put my neck on the block and say, sure. But then it all depends on how strong her teammates are. And I suspect, based on what she said, that she believes that Bermuda can do the double because, hence her reluctance to celebrate this early, because she thinks that there is a very good chance. It might be difficult, but not impossible. And as long as they give it a good try, I think that she'll be satisfied with that as well.
Yes, and you know, we spoke about her mental capacity, her mental strength, and of course now her physical strength, because the events that she's taken part in, you require a lot of physical strength. But Leighton, if she secures this double, and you did mention that she's going to be with other people and whatnot, what will this say for Flora Duffy? Will she go down as one of the best? People like to talk about.
Well, I mean, she's already one of the best. She's Olympic champion. I mean,
right.
You can't really deny her any claim of being among the very best, if not the best of all time, because as we mentioned before, she not only wins these global and regional championships like the Commonwealth Games and of course the Olympic Games, but she also wins the individual titles in the respective sport itself. So, you know, this is not a fluke for her.
Not at
this
all.
is a woman who is used to winning at every level. So clearly, you know, it would go down, I suppose, to times and of course, you know, the different segments of the triathlon that will perhaps determine how great she is. But clearly right now, she's in a pantheon of the greatest.
Definitely Flora Duffy there, making the Bermudians very, very proud, and of course the entire Caribbean. Well, in the pool now, Trinidad and Tobago's Dylan Carter has qualified for the 50-meter butterfly final with the third fastest time of 23.41 seconds. Earlier today, Leighton, you know, I had a look at Dylan. He seems to be looking really well. He was interviewed after also by Ricardo Chambers, and he says that we can expect a lot more gas from him in the next event. What do you make of Dylan?
I like Dylan. Huh? Dylan is like the Alia Atkinson of the Caribbean on the female side. He is doing things that helps others to see what's possible with the proper training and the proper approach to a professional sport. And when we saw him today, it's clear that he's capable of going a lot faster. I think he has his PB is 21.9 or something in that region. The fact is that I think he did well enough today to just get to the final. And once he gets there, he will leave it all on the line. And I think if he leaves it all on the line, you know, the possibilities are there that he could actually end up on the podium. And I hope he does, because I think he's worked over the years to be one of the best from the Caribbean, and he's actually achieved that goal now. The next step is to try to see if he can conquer the world. And this perhaps is the first step, or one of the first steps towards that goal.
Yeah, today he made the third fastest time, 23.41 seconds. You said that based on what you've seen from him, you think he can go faster. How much more faster?
Well, that's up to him. I think 23 is a little more than a second off what he's capable of doing. So I think if that is to hold in terms of what his current form is, I think 21 seconds is somewhere within the realm of possibility, or maybe even faster, because the key thing is not to expend too much energy while you're qualifying for the final, because the final is actually the real race. So you do enough to get there, and once you get there, then you pull out all the stops. And I think once he does that, I think he'll do well.
Yeah, and earlier when we spoke about Duffy, you drew on the point of mental strength. How important is mental strength when it comes to swimming? And based on what you've seen from Dylan Carter, you follow these athletes very, very closely. Do you think he has the mental capacity to seal maybe, if not gold, silver or bronze for Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, look, one of the things that I've seen with Dylan over the years, and having interviewed him as well over the past few years, he's one of those athletes that understand that, look, most athletes prepare similarly in terms of their training programs, their nutrition and everything. But once you get to that line, it's here that makes the difference. If you don't have enough self-belief, if you don't have enough belief in what your program prepared you for, you're not going to succeed. I think Dylan is one of those athletes who knows how to prepare well. He also knows that what he's capable of. And that confidence he has been, demonstrated over the years. World Indoors, where he's won medals, and of course he's consistently one of the best across the Caribbean. So I think he'll go into that final looking and thinking that, hey, if I give my best here, the podium is possible.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that he will give it his best shot, and his best shot could very well end up with him being on the podium.
Okay, so we're going to move along now, Leighton, and we're heading across to Jamaica, where we are right now, and the sport of rugby. Earlier today in rugby, we had Kenya beating Jamaica 45-0. What do you make of that result? Is it unfair to, judge the Jamaicans when we know that rugby hasn't been given enough attention? I'm speaking about facilities, time to prepare and whatnot.
Look, everything comes in stages, and I think Jamaica is in maybe the embryonic stage in terms of their development here in Jamaica. There's a lot of things that still need to be done. As you mentioned, the financial support, the resources that will allow each of those athletes to get the proper preparation, and in addition to proper coaching as well, and perhaps a lot more games, because you can prepare all you want, but when you don't have that adrenaline factor in your preparation, you go into a competition and you're pretty much at sea, because you're not experiencing competing at this consistently high level, pushing your body to the limits against the best teams. So I think, I wouldn't necessarily frown too much on the scoreline. I think over time, given that the team gets the necessary resources, they'll be better over time. I think Jamaica has, and like the Caribbean, has outstanding athletes. They just need the support, and once they get the support in terms of the resources, they can accomplish great things. So I think it's just a matter of time for the Jamaican rugby team to start to fulfill potential. I think maybe in another few years we'll start to see the growth that is happening within the team.
And I'm looking forward for that day, Leighton. Well, we take a break, and when we return, we continue with our recap of the action from day one of the Commonwealth Games being held in Birmingham, England.